What happened to the smartest kid at your high school? He was actually quite overweight. When he left for college, he was studying physics. A couple of years later, I learned that he had lost 175 pounds, became super into fitness, dropped out of college, and became a gym teacher. He lives in the same small village he was living in when we were in school, is married with kids, and apparently works in an office in the nearest town. He had aspirations of becoming a surgeon when we were in school. It didn't happen, but it sounds like he's living a good life regardless. The smartest kid in my high school class was definitely not the valedictorian. Same here. Surprisingly, ours was outside smoking pot, but he ended up being an early Silicon Valley entrepreneur, computer whiz. Sold his business, now is consulting, the good kind, with young computer engineers, and is leading them to take their next best steps. Great human being, funny as ever, and definitely not the valedictorian type. I graduated in a class of 18 people. I was co-valedictorian. Thanks to social media and my mom sending me the local paper for years, I can tell you what happened to all of them. 2 are dead, 3 are in jail, including my co-valedictorian, child molestation. 3 work in healthcare, RNs and radiologists, etc. 1 is a FEMA inspector. She's in Kissimmee right now. 2 work for the Cherokee Nation, 1 is a roofer, 1 has been fired as a jail guard, violence towards inmates, and kicked out of a church as pastor for embezzlement. 1 is a high school basketball coach, 1 is an openly gay cop in Austin, which I find fascinating considering where we came from. 2 are meth heads who dropped off the map, and I got college scholarships, left my ishy town for an English degree and the promise of the great American novel. Instead, I became a college advisor, married a college professor, had a great kid later in life, and then semi-retired last year to be the single cook at my son's small private school. Today I made sour cream chicken enchiladas with roasted tomatillo sauce from scratch. Truly living my best life. Hashtag class of 88. Not my class, but the grade below. Valedictorian took a ton of easy classes and beat out the salutatorian, who took way more difficult AP classes. She ended up going to a community college, got pregnant quick, and isn't doing much. Salutatorian went to MIT and is a legit rocket scientist. He had an offer to work on a nuclear submarine, I issue not, but he failed the drug test. The last person he smoked with? Me. I felt horrible. I was friends with the guy who had the second highest GPA in our class. He created a business renting out and managing office equipment. I lost touch with him, but I just Googled his business. It's still open, and he's still the owner, after 15 to 20 years. Glassdoor says it's worth 5 to 25 million USD. She was home for Thanksgiving in her freshman year of university. Her parents had just built a new house in the country, and she was out around there riding her bike in the afternoon, was hit from behind. The driver took off, and she was paralyzed from the neck down. Quadriplegic since. Had to drop out of university. Requires around-the-clock care. Can't communicate what's going on in her brilliant brain. So tragic. Last I saw our class valedictorian 40 years ago, when we were about 21. He bragged about how he and a couple friends broke into a logging company's powder shack to steal the explosives. He was disappointed that they failed to ignite under the bridge they selected. It is very depressing to know that I am stupider than him. What? He tried to blow up a bridge? I got the impression that it was a logging bridge, but yes, that is what he claimed. He was always described as scary smart, equal parts, apparently. He had a nervous breakdown in our senior year. He was apparently found in the woods, near his house, beating a tree with a metal baseball bat and saying, "I don't want to play anymore." By the time he was found, he had been doing this so long his hands were bleeding. He still got many college scholarship offers, but dropped out after his first year. He works at a local secondhand bookstore and is on multiple medications now, from what I understand. Valedictorian with perfect SAT, kind, approachable, and funny. Everyone assumed he would want to go into law or become a doctor. Instead, learned traditional dance and joined a well-respected dance troupe, performing at cultural events and weddings. Was honored to have them perform at my wedding. Still an amazing human as far as I know. The smartest kid went to an esteemed aerospace university, but had to move back home due to medical issues. No idea what happened to him there. The valedictorian, smartest on paper, works as an OBGYN in upstate New York. The most successful, a musical TikTok star with 12 million followers. 4 years after high school graduation, he was driving back to Yale from spring break, weeks from graduating with the highest honors, and then starting a Rhodes Scholarship when his car was hit head-on by a truck. He was killed instantly. We all believed he would be the first African-American president of the United States. He does some kind of morbidity projections for a hospital in a major city in Europe. The reason I know this is because in April or May of 2020, he posted on Facebook asking someone to call him because he was afraid he was going to hurt himself. I literally hadn't talked to this guy since probably 5th grade. We went to the same elementary school and then different middle schools. When we got to high school, he had skipped 2 grades. We weren't really friends in high school. It was 9 or 10 at night where I live, so probably 4 a.m. where he lived. It was late, and I was worried nobody would see his post. I couldn't have lived with myself if he had done something and I hadn't called, so I called him using Facebook Messenger. He was drunk and thinking about jumping off his balcony. His whole job was predicting COVID deaths, and the numbers he was coming up with were terrifyingly high, but nobody was listening to him. We talked for a long time. We both cried some. It was the weirdest thing. I literally talked him off a ledge. He didn't jump and now seems to be doing great. He quit drinking, got back into running, and got through the pandemic. I think of him often, which is weird considering we were never really what you'd call friends. He went to Oxford Uni. I couldn't stand the kid, but his life's going pretty well, so fair play to him. He had that arrogance about him that just made you want to punch him in the face, but he was too scrawny to punch without looking like an a-hole. Went to West Point, knocked up his girlfriend junior year, so automatically disqualified from attending. You couldn't have dependents and attend a military academy at the same time. Not sure if that is still true. Married the girl, got divorced a couple years later, enlisted in the army to fulfill his service obligation, finally became an officer in his early 30s and is now flying Blackhawks. Got remarried and has 2 kids with the new wife. Seems genuinely happy. After graduation at our high school, he did 4 years of university. I went to his wedding right after university graduation. She was probably the smartest girl at our high school. Got a job with Lockheed Martin real quick. Nobody has seen him since. I could see him in a top-secret government lab inventing anti-gravity flight. Whenever I hear about a UFO sighting, I say, "Oh, that's just Bill." He dropped out of uni and became a bartender. Made fun of me and bullied me because I was failing at math and science in high school. Now I have an engineering degree, and last I saw him, he was still living with his parents. She graduated from college, got married, had 5 kids, and homeschools now. She and her husband lived way below their means, saved every penny, invested in trailer parks, and retired early. She goes on cruises twice a year and makes a mean homebrew in her basement. She is me. Thanks for asking. Planned for med school from the time I met him in 8th grade. Even signed yearbooks, MD to B. Went to med school through the program where the military will pay for a few years of service. Somehow, through his Air Force service, started working for national security. Never became an actual doctor. If you go by grades, then we had 2 valedictorians. One became a neurosurgeon and is now head of neurosurgery at a big teaching hospital. The other went to Harvard, but I don't know what he did after that. If we go by SAT scores, then I failed to do anything the year after I graduated because I was unmotivated. Then I got a job at a guitar store and became a gearhead. Quit after 2 years, went to community college, and got an AS in music technology. Got offered to join the Stagehands Union, and promptly did. Now I'm production staff for an NBA team, and crew lead for concerts and other events at 2 arenas. I had a 1540. I test well. I didn't do homework well. She wanted to leave town and become a surgeon. Ended up pregnant, working as a special ed teacher, joined a popular Christian cult, and she is still living in the slums with her cheating, pedophile, bald boyfriend. She is also a Karen, and plays at a local amateur women's soccer team. I still can't believe I used to be in love with her. We had a few who could be considered the smartest. 2 were my close friends, and of them, one is gay and living his best life, while the other is a flat earther. Another one got busted for embezzling seniors, Final is the girl who is valedictorian. She is a teacher and women's rights activist in NYC now. Disappeared off the face of the earth immediately. Highest grades in every single class. Literal perfect attendance for years. Their name literally in every single award ceremony. They gave off feminine vibes. My best guess is they were a closeted trans girl who had extremely high motivation to move out or something. I don't know. Didn't really talk to them. Didn't know anyone who knew them that well. Haven't seen them since the last day. Don't think they went to prom. No idea, for real. Never kept up with any of my classmates. I think one of the smartest came out a couple of years after graduation. I'm glad for her. She was under a lot of pressure from a lot of people for a long time. Probably felt pretty great cutting some of those ties loose to be herself, you know? I know one of them was a dealer in high school, and if I had to guess, he's still dealing. Guy had mad potential to revolutionize tech. Or, have his work stolen from him by some corpo big shot. But I haven't heard a peep from him since graduation, so I'm guessing he hasn't been caught yet. Another couple of intelligent women kinda just disappeared into their college sororities. My sister went to their college, so that's the only way I had any ability to know anything about them, to be honest. One guy went into security as a night security guard for a chicken feed plant or something. It was a weird gig. I don't know if he's still there or not. It's been a few years since we last talked. Then there was me, small school class rankings. I was 6th, and I'm here on Reddit, so clearly not much. I graduated with 20 other kids many years ago. We had a guy in our high school that was a genius. 4 of us entered into a quiz bowl as a joke, and we beat the teachers. We then went to regionals and did very well against college students. It was this one kid while us other 3 just watched. He was bored by school and quit. He later got his GED. He still lives in that small town and has worked at the same manufacturing plant that everyone else in the area works at. Everyone in town knows how smart he is, but he is just like everyone else. It's very weird, and I don't know how to feel about it. You said smartest. Smartest kid in my high school slept through classes, was in trig with him, slept through the class, still got 98 to 100% on every test. After high school, he was stabbed to death in a drug deal gone bad in Miami. He was a foreign exchange student from Romania that was able to skip 2 grades and played piano in our concert band, which I was also in. He graduated at 16, and last I heard, he now plays for the New York Philharmonic. One of the smartest people in my class, 40 years ago, was from a family of lawyers. Parents, siblings, all went into law. She was popular but didn't date much. Shortly after high school, she parked on a train track and unalived herself. I guess the pressure was just too much. The co-valedictorians of my high school class. One had a successful career in business and became a Trump supporter. He spent several weeks on a ventilator and almost died last year after refusing to be vaccinated for COVID. The other suffers from untreated schizophrenia that became apparent after she graduated college. She spent many years as a homeless person on the streets. Some of us recently managed to get her housed, though she still refuses to get treatment for her mental illness. He went to MIT. Shortly after, he came out as gay, and his family disowned him and stopped supporting him. He didn't let that stop him, though, and went on to graduate with top grades. Last I heard, he was working in the AI department of one of the major companies making some seriously good cash. Now that he's doing well for himself, suddenly his family has started saying they might have been too harsh and want to reconnect with him. He's living his best life and married his high school sweetheart, who was ranked 8th in the school for GPA.